And I'm going to share my screen. But before we jump in, let's go ahead and start with intros. I think to make the introduction relevant, we can just start with our name, maybe our background, national ethnicity I'm kind of interested in too, and what made you join this call today. So I'll start with my name. My name is Lucy Adonis. My background, I'm a second generation Nigerian American first daughter, Black woman. I attained my master's degree in business administration, attended Georgia State University. Yeah, my background is in digital marketing and strategy. So that's what I've been doing for the past 7 years. One of the reasons why I created or wanted to talk about this topic is mentorship is really important to me. Last year, I worked with Georgia State University and created a mentorship program for Black women called Leaders by Design. And essentially, it was created to inspire, inform, and educate the next generation of women leaders. And just because I say women, Timothy and Adonis, it's really, when I look at women, I look at them as the gateway to Black communities, our minority, Black and brown communities. So that's why I kind of start there. But even in me, my own life, I've experienced imposter syndrome, and it's like, it can be a debilitating feeling sometimes, even if it's like incremental, because, you know, our thoughts really affect everything we do. So at any moment, when you do have that self-doubt or that fear to take the next step, when I think about it compounded, like how far are we setting ourselves back by not talking about the issue and addressing it and just sharing like our different ways of experiencing it, but also how we've overcome it or how we get past it. So that's why I put this event together. So I'm happy y'all are here. And I'm going to type in the chat just so we all have it. I think I said introduce your name, your background, and also why you're here today. What made you join? Popcorn, anyone?
I guess I can go. Unless anybody else wants to go first.
You guys.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tim or Timothy. I don't know. Black American. Been here for a minute. Background. Okay, so I'm a consultant and I'm a professor at Kaynellz State University. I guess that's it. Yeah.
And what made you join?
You asked me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, it was also a good topic.
Yeah.
You dealing with imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I definitely could add to this because I probably suffered imposter syndrome a number of times on my career path. So getting over it is you know, what I've been doing. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim, for introducing yourself. I also want to say that Timothy is also a data scientist. He's also a software engineer who builds his own video games.
Oh.
I just want to like, you know what I mean? I like to give people their flowers, but also like that perspective as well, right? Like that's a very high level type of occupation. And Black people are underrepresented in technology and these types of things. So I think it's very important just to kind of show, like, as you're giving your feedback on what we're going to discuss, what your background as well. So yeah, popcorn to anyone else.
I'll go next. Thanks for sharing, Timothy. Can you all hear me? Just making sure.
Yes.
Awesome. So hi, everybody. My name is Adonis Thrax. I identify as African American. I am native to Georgia. Uh, I would say Atlanta, but specifically the East Side. I grew up in Stone Mountain, Lithonia. Lucy knows about that. I also attended Georgia State University, got my bachelor's in business administration, concentrated in marketing. My background is in events and production, communications and marketing, and operations. Today, I am an entrepreneur. I wear a lot of hats, growing 3 different businesses. So much fun. Um, but just a little more information there is I host events through one of my businesses. I have a production company, and I also have a creative agency slash studio. And I joined this call to support Lucy and her endeavors, but also I saw it as a fun opportunity to reflect with other people who I may or may not know, and furthermore, to immerse myself in meaningful conversations that I believe will help me develop as a person, learn, and ultimately give back to my friends, family, and community, because I imagine anything Lucy's doing will enable me to do that. So that is my introduction.
I love that. And I love Adonis so much because he's very intentional. Adonis and I were what they call 1913 Society Ambassadors for Georgia State University. And essentially it's it's the highest student leadership position on campus. So that's how we met. And every year we have this like reunion event where we're showered with thanks and gifts and a crazy buffet. But during these events, Adonis and I, have always greeted each other, but never really spoken. Last year, we were intentional about setting a time to connect and meet with each other, and he's doing incredible things. He's also a host, and he's hosted several events at Georgia State University with top studios, influencers, and celebrities and the like. So he's quite modest, but he's also a great interviewer. So if you guys ever need like interviewer, podcast, like please hit him up because his questions are so like, it feels like he's touching the little kid in you and you're like, why did I, endeavor for whatever. So just shout out to you and thank you for supporting. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. And I don't have my camera on because I am so far from presentable. So I apologize, everyone, but I'm totally here.
It's all good. I just got dressed for this. Popcorn.
I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, good to see you. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Castro. I was just finishing up brunch, so I just got back home and I'm on my phone right now. But and I lost connection, so I don't see in the chat what I should share. But let's see. So my background. Okay.
Name.
Let me start. Let me ground myself.
Ethnicity and what made you join today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So background. So my background is I have a degree in communications and Spanish. I started off as an educator teaching on the East Coast. I'm originally from California, but spent about 7 years teaching throughout the Northeast. So in Connecticut, Jersey, and in New York. And then I transitioned into personal development and life coaching, working for a life coaching company, but on the sales and partnership side. So I have a little bit of business development background as well. And right now I'm based out of Mexico City. So I'm Mexican American, working on my dual citizenship. And I have been living out in Mexico for almost a total of 2 years, working remotely so far. And it's been amazing just building community out here, leaning more into entrepreneurship and freelance work, and also like hosting events out here as well. So that's been really exciting. And let's see, what did I miss? Checking the chat. What made me join? Lucy, I love Lucy. And she's just been such a blessing. Like you've just been such a blessing in my life, such a great friend. And just always happy to support. You've supported me in my endeavors in so many ways. So yeah, just reciprocating the love, but then also I really love being able to talk about important topics in community, whether it's in person or virtual, and also as a way to get to know other people. So that's why I'm here. And I invited Victoria as well. I invited a bunch of people really last minute, but we'll see if anyone jumps on, but happy to be here.
Awesome. Shout out to Victoria. Thanks for joining. Shout out to Melissa. So thankful for you, Melissa. You're an incredible person. Yeah, so Melissa's background is in coaching, leadership development, curriculum development, and she also curates these incredible experiences in Mexico City where they talk about culture behind the food and then just an incredible like eating culinary experience. So just really excited about you, Melissa, because we always have very intentional and powerful conversations just about our lives, society, our business, ourselves, and where we want to go. So happy to get your input as well. Victoria, I'm so happy you're here. Definitely want to hear more about you too.
Hi guys, can you guys hear me? I'm sorry if there's still a little bit of traffic. I'm like 2 blocks away from my house, but it's a pretty busy street.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So my name is Victoria, Vic for short. Originally from New York, New Jersey. Most of my life just moved to West LA about 4.5 years ago now. Wow, time is really flying. So 4.5 years ago, my background, I am a first generation Latina. My parents are from Ecuador, and my professional background is in marketing mostly. So I've done sports marketing, I've done campaign and event management. Mostly now for the last 6-7 years, I've been in tech, particularly fintech. But I'm also looking to now transition into entrepreneurship. And so the reason why I joined today is Melissa has been a part of my life for a pretty long time now. I'd say a good 11, 12 years from back in the East Coast. And, you know, she's been a part of a lot of different developments, both personally and professionally, where, you know, she's encouraged and pushed certain elements of me. And so I very much trust her word whenever she's like, hey, I want to send this invite or want you to meet these people. And so I'm definitely always wanting to be a part of these forums of discussion, but also just think it's great to meet people, especially those that definitely understand kind of this very same topic, right? Especially as I start to transition into entrepreneurship. So yeah, I think that's it. Did I get it all?
Yeah, you absolutely did. It's such a pleasure to have you, and I completely agree.
Thanks.
Melissa has put me in millionaire rooms, so she's definitely someone I listen to. And Christine just jumped on. Welcome, Christine.
Hi.
What's up?
How are you?
We're just doing brief intros. We'd love for us to get to know you a little bit, and then we'll jump right in. So your name, your ethnicity, your background, and what made you join today? If that's
So my name is Christine. I am Ecuadorian. I am born and raised from New Jersey. Just recently moved to LA. So I've been here for a couple of months. Currently in education, teaching Spanish in middle school, charter school. I had previously had a role in high school back at home. So it's been a huge transition from high school to middle school, the demographic in itself and all. So, you know, I've been kind of in this space of like whether or not I want to continue being in education, because it's been a really real struggle. And so that's been a battle for me. And if there's one thing that I know, if once I lose a passion about something, I know something's wrong. And so I need to figure out like, how am I gonna fix it, or what do I need to do to remove myself from that situation and allow myself to be somewhere else where I'm better and happier, because that's not the space that I'm currently in. So right now I'm in the process of just figuring out like what is my purpose now? Because I thought this was my purpose, but it doesn't feel that that is anymore. So like, what else is out there for me to do? And so I'm here today to figure out, like, like what are my next steps? Like, how can I go about this? Like, just to get a feel of like what everyone else's thoughts are.
I love that. Welcome. That's Melissa, I'm looking at you because I'm like, girl, that's all we talk about. And we're setting up, different types of events just like this to address all those different concerns and opportunities that we have. So just so happy you're here. And I think starting off with imposter syndrome is such a great way to kind of kick off all the discussions. So thanks for joining.
Thank you.
We also have Kaynellz and Ghislaine that just joined. We're just doing quick introductions and we're going to hop into the event, but your background, your name, your ethnicity, your background, and then also why'd you join this event today, how to overcome imposter syndrome. Kaynellz or Ghislaine, either of you can jump in.
I can jump in. Hi, everyone. I'm Ghislaine. I'm from New York City. I'm currently living in LA. I'm a first-generation Dominican woman. I work in entertainment, and what drew me here, my friend Melissa invited me, but what drew me here is because we constantly have these conversations in our girl chats about imposter syndrome and, the days that are really hard and that I do a really good job at keeping my poker face, big boss energy on. And then as soon as the work lights go off, I spiral. So that's what brought me here today.
Girl, my heartstrings. Yeah, that's nail on the head for me. That's touching. And Kaynellz, I'm excited to jump in.
What's up? How y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I'm clear. I know sometimes it'd be a little spotty through the Bluetooth, but I go by Kaynellz. Many things. I'm an artist, creative. I'm also a sales professional. I work as a corporate sales trainer for Asbury Automotive Group. My ethnicity, I'm African American, originally from Annapolis, Maryland. Grew up in Atlanta, moved to Atlanta when I was 15, pretty much been here ever since. And I just, of course, Lucy and I have been cool for forever. First and foremost, I always want to support everything that she's doing. So that's the first reason I'm here. The second reason I'm here is because I'm always looking to learn and grow. Me personally, I'm in the people business, both professionally and creatively. So anytime I have an opportunity to gain perspective or, learn anything as it pertains to people and the human experience and how that relates to people both personally and professionally, I always want to take the opportunity to. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate y'all.
That's awesome. Welcome, brother. Yeah, Kaynellz and I go way, way back. He is quite the philosophic, just a very, expansive thinker. And I'm always thankful when you can join one of these things because you bring a great perspective. All right, y'all, let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen. I really want this to be more of like a discussion, not necessarily a presentation, but I do want to kind of go over so we all can start at a base level of what we're talking about when we're talking about imposter syndrome. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Awesome. So welcome again, everybody. So thankful to have you all. What we're talking about today is imposter syndrome. And it's literally been classified as a psychological phenomenon that's experienced by a lot of the people on this call, from what I hear, high achievers, people who are very ambitious. You're working a job, but you also have a side hustle. You're also trying to become entrepreneurs and accomplish all these other things. So it's experienced by high achievers and professionals, and it can literally affect a person's career progression and limit our professional development if we don't identify what it is, where it stems from, and how to overcome it and really eradicate it, right? So just kind of like an introduction as to what it is. imposter syndrome is not limited to any specific group of people, but high professionals do tend to kind of experience it a bit more, right? It's a response to the pressures of society. They found that imposter syndrome is more common in women than men, and it also disproportionately affects marginalized groups. So minorities, Black people, brown people, LGBTQIQ, and the like. So the purpose of this event is to recognize the symptoms, really talk about it. What are different ways we've seen it come up in our lives? Challenge our negative thoughts. I think that's a byproduct of imposter syndrome. We start to speak down on ourselves and we don't really acknowledge the success or even how far that we've come. Really being alive in this day and age in this society is an accomplishment in itself, right? Any questions so far while we're on right here?
Oh,
No? Oh, wow. Sorry, y'all. It's telling me my Zoom is going to end shortly. If it does, I'm going to resend we'll just hop on the same link.
Okay.
Okay, so I just kind of want to talk about a couple of things right here. So it says that one of the reasons why minorities in particularly face imposter syndrome is because of the added pressure of being in a predominantly white, male-dominated society. And we tend to feel the need to overcompensate or work harder to disprove stereotypes. And these same stereotypes are what contribute to our feelings of inadequacy. And a lot of us talked about working in professional spaces, but also working in more industry-related spaces. But we can face discrimination, bias, and microaggressions in the workplace, and even in academic settings. I know Christine mentioned that she was in education. And all these things kind of fuel a level of insecurity. So let me just go to the next slide really quick. I've already introduced myself, y'all. I really started introducing myself as what I identify as, which is a second-generation Nigerian-American digital strategist and everything after that. But I realized that it's really our background that colors our experiences and that colors our environment, right? So instead of like kind of going into the whole professional thing, what I'm really trying to do is figure out who I am without the labels, you know? So with that, I kind of just want to jump in and talk about the who, what, when, where, why, and how. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everyone and we can make it more of an open discussion. But essentially, it's important to note that imposter syndrome affects people from diverse backgrounds and cultures, and the way it manifests and the reasons behind it can be different for each person. So on that, let me stop sharing. And just kind of want to, really the first question I have is, how has imposter syndrome shown up in each of your lives? Like, what is your case of imposter syndrome? And I'm going to start just to kind of like give you all a baseline. I think for me, imposter syndrome is knowing that I have a gift to share with the world, one that is beneficial, but I'm scared to deliver it. I'm scared to express it because it's kind of like, one, procrastination, I will say that. Probably also a lack of faith in myself. But to be honest, I feel like I have all the sauce I need to really create the life I want, you know? I feel like my imposter syndrome, it looks me dead in my eye because I feel like time is moving very quickly. Like the world is moving so fast, even with technology and all these different things. The next session that we're talking about in 2 weeks is why women of color should start to learn about blockchain technology. it's like I feel like all these societal pressures, and I don't feel like I'm fast enough. I don't feel like I'm getting things done quick enough. And that scares me because my parents are getting older. It's like, I thought that, you know, as a first daughter, I'd be the one to liberate them from working and, you know, retire them. But it's just a lot of different things I feel like that's coming at me at one time, and trying to manage them while still being sane is kind of like, I feel like my imposter syndrome. But I'm just gonna like ask you all, like, how does your imposter syndrome show up? Do you relate to what I said? Just kind of curious.
I'll share. Thank you for sharing that. That was really honest and vulnerable, and I relate a lot to what you shared, Lucy. One thing that you said in the presentation on the last slide was like trying to see yourself or experience yourself without labels. I think it was something that you said along those lines, which really resonated with me. And I feel like culturally, I feel like I'm starting to realize that a lot of the kind of doubts or hesitations or just, you know, imposter syndrome that I've experienced and am still working through, like, not only does it have to do with being a woman of color, you know, and navigating those kind of like power dynamics and barriers, like professionally and socially and whatnot. But then I think like culturally as well, like as a Mexican American woman, and even spending time now, a lot of time down in Mexico, just reflecting on how different my journey has been from a lot of my other family members, in the sense of like being super outgoing and kind of like the rebel of the family, and just like taking leaps and like, you know, moving completely away from my hometown and like across the country, right? Away from my family for 10 years. And I think had I not done that, I would not have realized a lot of the things that I realized, and in the ways that culture can kind of like, there are so many benefits to culture and retaining culture, and, you know, but at the same time, there are ways I think sometimes we don't necessarily notice how certain family structures or just like culturally some sort of mindsets can hold us back. And so I think as a Mexican American woman, I think what I noticed culturally is like kind of just like this soft-spoken, you know, expectation of women being soft-spoken or not necessarily speaking up, or just kind of going with the flow, not ruffling feathers. And so I think my natural default and tendency is like, let me people please, let me like not be too loud, let me, on top of the already kind of expectations as a woman, right? And so and what it means to be like a loud, outspoken or like assertive woman, right? I've had to work through that so much in personal development and therapy, and just realize that like it's okay for me to speak up, and it doesn't matter how I'm perceived. But like so yeah, it's a lot of responsibility and unlearning and relearning. It has been, and it continues to be. And now that I'm in this space where I'm exploring entrepreneurship even more so, it's like, what, you don't have a full-time job? Like, you know, I'm in my mid-30s and I'm like not married and X, Y, and Z, you know? And so it's just like a continuation of like breaking kind of the boxes that I should be in, culturally, socially, but then also personally, like in my own mind, like, you know, a daily thing of like, no, I should be here, right? So yeah, it's challenging. And I think I was just having this conversation with Victoria yesterday, was like, right now being in Mexico City, what I noticed, like I'm surrounded by so many entrepreneurs and creatives, which is super inspiring. I think community is so huge when you're trying to move forward. It's really important to be surrounded by like-minded people who are also, you know, pushing you and motivating you. And so being here has been great, but I also noticed that, like, at least in my relationships down here, I noticed that the male entrepreneurs that I know out here are like less hesitant to just like go, like they have an idea and boom, like they run with it. And so it's inspiring to see, but it's also kind of confronting to be like, why do I have all these blocks and hesitations that come up and questions and emotions? Whereas like my guy friend can be like, 2 weeks, I just created this, like he just created a company in 2 weeks, had the idea 2 weeks ago, told me about it, just closed a client this past week. And I'm like, so I'm inspired by that. But yeah, it's confronting, and it's, I don't know, it's human experience.
Yeah, I completely agree, Melissa. It's tough. It's layers too. And I kind of want to get a male perspective because, you know, there's many intersections that we face in terms of identity, all of us on this call. But I know as a woman, we have our things. I'm just kind of curious from a male perspective, how do you all perceive imposter syndrome and how has it shown up in your lives?
I mean, I can go ahead. It looks like that that counter is about to hit. So I was like, should I start or should I wait for it to do it? Before I don't want to.
Let's I'm gonna end the call now and we're gonna hop on the same link. I'm just gonna restart it.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
so much.
okay.
See you soon.